I spent $40 to cure my cat of cancer, but I only make $7,000 a month. I picked up a stray cat in front of a grocery store and named it Karen. Karen is a yellow tabby, bold and clingy. At Christmas, I found her shitting blood. After the tests, the doctor looked at the results and said, "Your cat might have a tumor, but I can't tell if it's benign or malignant." I felt like I'd been hit by a ton of bricks, totally shocked. I said, "How can that be? It's only 3 years old and seems perfectly healthy." "Cancer? Really?" A few days later, the doctor called back. "The results are in. It's a malignant lymphoid T-cell tumor." I was at home when I got the call. I immediately called my boyfriend Jim and told him the results were in. He was surprisingly calm. "Just go back and ask the doc what the next steps are." After I hung up, reality hit me. Our cat was going through chemo and might die. I lay on my bed, hugged our cat, and cried, feeling incredibly unlucky. Why me? I thought. Why don't rich people who can afford it get this disease? I didn't have much savings and couldn't afford the treatment. My only plan was to see how far my savings could go. If I ran out, I would have to make a tough decision, but as long as I could, I'd pay for it. After paying medical bills, I only spent money on rent and food. I hadn't bought anything new, pouring all my money into the cat's treatment. By the end of the chemo, it cost about $7,000, including all the nutrients and treatments. Surprisingly, it wasn't the money that worried me the most. Shortly after starting chemo, Karen had a setback. Her surgical wound wasn't healing well due to the medication. One afternoon, I heard our cat vomiting under the bed. She had intestinal issues before, but this felt different. I checked and saw blood. My heart stopped. Was she vomiting blood? Then I saw her intestines coming out of her surgical gown. I panicked and called Jim. He told me to call the vet. The vet instructed, "Do you have alcohol and gauze? Soak the gauze in alcohol, cover his intestines, and bring her in immediately." But we didn't have gauze. Jim said, "Go buy it." I ran out in my pajamas to the drugstore, got the supplies, and ran back. My legs were shaking, but I managed to wrap her up and we rushed to the hospital. Thankfully, there was no traffic, and we made it just in time. The vet stitched her up and said we were lucky. Her intestines weren't infected. Every day I visited her at the hospital. She'd meow when she heard my voice. When I finally picked her up, she shredded her pee pads in excitement. She jumped on me and clung to my shoulder. At home, I was scared stiff of her tearing open her wound again. I blocked off any high spots and ringed my bed with cardboard boxes. I was on pins and needles, keeping a constant eye on her. One day, during a follow-up, the vet noticed more tumor growth. We had to change the medication. Weekly chemo infusions started, and at first she seemed fine, but soon she stopped eating. I bought every kind of canned food, begging her to eat. One time, after she refused to eat, I completely lost it and screamed, "OMG, what the heck is wrong with you?" I realized she didn't understand. Despite everything, I felt immense joy when she snuggled with me under the covers. Her illness cost a lot and restricted my life, but having her alive was worth it. As the chemo kept going, the side effects eased up, and the tumor started shrinking. She was improving. The vet had said he might only last 6 months, but he beat the odds and made it over 3 years. I felt like me and the little furball were on our way to living our best lives, like things were finally falling into place for us.